I'm glad to have you all on board. So we're starting the CPR training right now. Don't forget, it's going to take place today and tomorrow because we don't want to rush things at all. So yes, cardiopulmonary resuscitation training. So in this very first section, we'll be looking at what CPR is, why is CPR useful, what is the purpose of CPR, and how do you know if a patient needs CPR or not. So I want you to follow me closely because this training promises to be educative, informative, and interesting. Thank you. So yeah, what is CPR? CPR is the short form for the word cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So please let's note that cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So what is cardiopulmonary resuscitation or what is CPR? CPR is an emergency life-saving procedure. It is life-saving. I've always mentioned that CPR is life-saving because if CPR is not carried out on an individual, when his or her heart stop beating, the person will die in less than 10 minutes. The person might just pass out like that. So it is an emergency in the fact that you might not really be prepared for it, or you might not even really be thinking about it. Just person on the floor, you just have to be immediately. Emergency is an emergency situation. So it is an emergency life-saving procedure, one, that is performed when the heart stops beating. Please let's pay attention to this. When the heart stops beating. And you might be wondering, so how do I know when the heart stops beating? Am I supposed to check the heart of the person? We'll talk about all that in this training. So it's that emergency life-saving procedure that is performed when the heart stops breathing, not when an individual faints. It is when the heart stops beating. So this definition was given by the American Heart Association. So now let's look more into the words we have in CPR. Cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Okay, it's actually 3 words, but my focus is the first part where we have the cardiopulmonary. So cardiopulmonary is made up of 2 words, which is cardio and pulmonary. Obviously now cardiopulmonary, combination of 2 words. So when you hear the word cardio talks about the heart. When you hear the word pulmonary, that's talking about the lungs. And you know, lung is one of the organs present in the respiratory system. So cardio is about heart, pulmonary is about lungs. So those are the 2 organs in question when we talk about CPR, the heart and the lungs. So CPR helps us to manually, take note of the word manually, to manually carry out the function of these 2 organs. Don't forget, normally on the norms, as you're even watching this video, your heart is carrying out its function, your lung is doing what it is supposed to do. But now, when the heart stop beating, when the heart stop carrying out its normal function, or when the lungs stops to help in respiration, then CPR needs to be carried out. CPR needs to be done so that these hearts can perform their function manually. Don't forget, it was automated at first. It is an involuntary action. Your heart will beat on its own. You don't have to tell it to beat. You don't have to press it before it beats. It's going to beat on its own. The lung will be involved in respiration on its own. It is automatic, involuntary. But once an incident happens and these organs stop carrying out their involuntary action, when they stop carrying out their automated action, then CPR needs to be carried out to help these organs perform their functions manually. So now next we'll be talking about is, why is CPR important? CPR is useful. Why is CPR useful? Now we mentioned that CPR is an emergency life-saving skills that is carried out once the heart stop beating. So now, once the heart stop beating, that condition is called cardiac arrest. I don't know if I've heard of that before. The person died of cardiac arrest. Yes. I even heard of one recently. Someone close to me, my teacher, my secondary school teacher, it was reported that she died of cardiac arrest. So that condition is called cardiac arrest when the heart stop beating. And don't forget, the heart is the organ that pumps blood to every other part of the body. So when the heart stops beating, and the process by which the heart pumps blood is when it beats, boom. If you touch your heart now, you know that there is a sound, boom, boom. So as the heart is beating, it is pumping blood to other part of the heart. So when the heart stops beating, that means blood will not circulate to the sorry. That means blood will not circulate to the other parts of the body, and also during cardiac arrest, the person will not breathe anymore. So breathing is going to cease. So now what happens when blood does not flow to the other part of the body? What happens when breathing ceases? So now let's take note of the fact that all the cells and tissue in the body require a constant supply of oxygen, a constant supply of oxygen to survive, and it is the blood that transports oxygen to them. We humans will breathe. If anyone stops breathing, the person is going to die, because the cells and the tissues in the body, they require a constant, please take note of the word constant, a constant supply of oxygen. It must always be constant. If that supply is cut off for just few minutes, irreversible damages could occur to the individual, and the person could even die as well. And how does this oxygen get to the cells and tissue? It is through the blood. The blood is the transport medium that takes oxygen to the cells and the tissue. So now, if the heart stops beating, that means blood is not pumped. Then that means oxygen is not going to get to those body tissues and body cells. So once blood circulation stops, that's what happened in cardiac arrest. Once blood circulation stops, the cells and tissues become deprived of oxygen. And once they become deprived of oxygen, they begin to die. So now let's use the brain as an example. Within 3 to 4 minutes of no oxygen, if there is no oxygen supply, to the cells of the brain, just within 3 to 4 minutes, the cells begin to die. Just 3 to 4 minutes, that's less than 5 minutes. The cells will begin to die. And if this continues for 10 minutes, that is, if there is still no supply of oxygen to the brain cells for 10 minutes, the brain becomes permanently damaged and may even result in death. Now they just find out that, the head he fell down, and before they got there, maybe they didn't really know earlier enough that person fell down. So just few minutes times, in few minutes time, by the time they got there, just realized the person is dead. Because within a short period of time, if oxygen is not supplied to some body organs, to some cells and tissues, it can result in death. So it is actually very important there should be a constant supply of oxygen to tissues and cells in the body. And this oxygen will only be supplied if blood flows to these cells and tissue. And during cardiac arrest, the heart is not beating, the heart is not pumping blood. That means blood is not getting to the cells and tissue, and that also means that the cell and tissue is not receiving oxygen, and this could lead to damage. And if it continues for a long period of time, it could lead to death. So this is why CPR is useful, because we know if an individual's heart does not start beating as soon as possible again, the person can die. So this is why CPR is very, very useful. And there's something about CPR. It's something that should be, I mentioned that it is emergency. You don't have to waste time. Because if you waste time more, you are reducing the chances of the person being alive. Don't forget, there has to be a constant supply of oxygen. So you have to do everything you want to do fast, 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 fast.